Hi, everybody, and welcome to Ed Randall's Talking Rams. Here in this video series, we're paying tribute to those men and women, members of the Athletic Hall of Fame, who distinguished themselves on the field of play and brought honor to Fordham University. We hope you'll pass the word about this series to all your friends in the Fordham community and have them tune in. We continue our series of conversations with a 2012 inductee into our Hall of Fame, who was one of the most successful track and field performers in our history. It would take days to itemize her many records, but we'll talk about them shortly. Suffice it to say, she was a whiz on the track and in the classroom, winning the Benedict T. Harder Award presented to the Gabelli School of Business athlete who has made significant academic and athletic contributions. This in 2006, the year of her graduation. We welcome back Fordham, one of the elite runners in school history, whose plaque from 2012 you can see in the Rose Hill Gym, Maureen Zivic. Maureen, it's great to have you with us. Thank you so much for doing this. Tell us about your life before Fordham. Where did you grow up, and did your family have any ties to Fordham?
Yeah, thanks so much, Ed, for having me. Excited to share a little bit more about myself and my story. So I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Grew up there, where my family still lives today. It's a little bit far cry from the Bronx, and no, I actually have zero ties to Fordham. Quite a unique entryway into the Bronx and into Fordham. I had been looking at schools my sophomore, junior year, thinking about where I wanted to go to college, and really had some pretty large schools in mind. Really was influenced by March Madness at the time and a lot of the schools that were in the tournament. So thought I wanted to go to a very large school with a very large athletic program, not necessarily to have any goals myself to compete in athletics, but just to be part of a program with a very large program. And realized as I started to get more into the journey of looking at schools that I actually was attracted to the smaller schools, and really did a lot of searching on the East Coast, kind of near the Philadelphia area, and ultimately just randomly by chance got a postcard from Fordham, a school I had never heard of and was not on my radar previously. And I started to do some research, and I was like, wow, this is a beautiful campus. And one thing I did know is I really wanted to go to a large city. Grew up in the suburbs of Pittsburgh and was really interested in moving kind of to a larger market. So being in New York, one of the biggest and best cities, and having a beautiful campus at Fordham, it really drew me in when I visited my junior year, and actually was the only school that I applied to. So I put all of my eggs in the Fordham basket, and fortunate enough that it all worked out.
So if there was no card, when there were cards,
Yeah,
then there would be no Maureen Zivic at Fordham.
that's very true. So shout out to the admissions team, whoever got me on their list.
For this series, Maureen, we spoke recently with the quarterback and your fellow inductee, Mike Niebrick. And when he told his mom that he was transferring to Fordham, she asked, "Where's Fordham?" And he told her the Bronx, and she said, "Are you nuts?" But you had a very different idea about what lay ahead at Fordham, having taken a look at the campus.
Yeah, and a somber story is I had just accepted my invite shortly before shortly after 9/11, and
Mm.
obviously the country was very on edge, and a lot of uncertainty, and so I know my family was questioning, like, are you sure you want to go to New York at this time? And in my heart of hearts, I knew it was where I should be.
Tell us about your first day on campus when you got to Fordham.
Yeah. So, as one of the privileges of being an athlete, especially a fall athlete, starting in cross country, you get to campus early. So it was a little bit of a unique experience because the campus was still a little bit deserted. But yeah, it was just really fun meeting my fellow athletes on the cross country team, and we all got to move in a little bit early. And I remember the first day where everyone came. It was pure chaos, a lot of coordination. I was in a converted triple, which I don't know if is still a thing, but basically they were dorms set up as doubles, but because of overflow, they had asked people if they wanted to move into a dorm meant for two with three. So there were three of us in my freshman year dorm, and it was very crowded, but an incredible experience.
Had you ever been to the Bronx or to New York City before?
Yes, I wish I had asked my dad the story in more depth but yes, we went there as a family driving through, I think, from another place. So I think we just spent a day or two, and I think there was a story that some incident with our car. Yeah, but I was very young at the time, so I don't remember it at all. So yeah, the first time I was back as an adult, or at least somebody who could remember the experience, was my visit to Fordham my junior year.
We're hearing universally, Maureen, in this series that when athletes like yourself come to the Fordham campus for the first time, they're just blown away by its beauty. What an oasis it is.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that's what really struck me. Again, I had visited other schools in kind of the Philadelphia area and others in Pennsylvania. And the campus just like could not compare. Truly was a traditional kind of collegiate university on in the campus, but yet you step outside those gates and you have the entire New York City right there at your disposal. So it's just kind of the best of both worlds that you get access to major metropolitan area while still having that college and traditional campus
Mhm.
experience.
Did you know what you wanted to pursue in the classroom prior to getting to Fordham?
No. For a bit in my high school experience, I thought I wanted to be a marine biologist, and had considered some of the universities that specialize in that, but realized pretty quickly that biology was not for me. It seemed like a good career on paper, but in kind of understanding everything that went into it, realized that wasn't for me. So I knew I wanted to go into some sort of business field, and so I ended up studying just general business administration at Fordham, kind of not quite knowing exactly what I wanted to do.
And favorite subject while you were at Fordham was what?
Yeah, so I would say two. I had an operations class that was just very fascinating and kind of thinking about solving problems, which I would say to this day is still like one of the things that I just generally enjoy about my job and the kind of the work that I do. But then also, while I didn't necessarily enjoy the subject of accounting, I really enjoyed the class that I had in my accounting courses, just because of the professor. But yeah, generally, I would say those two classes stuck out to me.
Least favorite subject?
By far, business law. I
Not
just
even
always
close.
got stuck up on all of the legalese, and yeah, just the giant book and all of the reading. I genuinely just did not enjoy.
Maureen, was there a professor who inspired you and made a lasting impression?
Yeah, so I would say Donna Rapicelli, who was the professor for accounting, she and ultimately, I don't know all of her titles that she went on in the Gabelli School of Business, but yeah, she definitely left a lasting impression. She was somebody who took so much interest in her students and just genuinely was a great mentor to anyone who walked in her classroom. So I really appreciated her guidance.
Where'd you live when you were at Fordham through the years?
So I started in South and then I went to Finley, which was by far my favorite dorm at Fordham. And then over to Walsh. And then my senior year, I lived off campus in Arthur. Yes, no. Yeah, Arthur House.
And why was Finley your favorite?
Just very unique setup. If you've been in there, it has the loft that I think it used to be used by the medical school back in the day for
Right.
observation. So I know there's some ghost stories that come along with it, but yeah, just like a really unique setup in the dorms itself, and just a beautiful building.
Did you have a favorite building on campus?
Um, I That's a good question. I mean, Keating is just obviously very picturesque and just kind of the epitome of Fordham. So I would say just observing at that. And I also spent a lot of time in the library. So like the library, although I know the old library definitely has a little bit more charm in terms of the structure. But yeah, I would say those
Mhm.
are kind of the buildings that I enjoyed.
Favorite hangout?
Favorite hangout. I mean, can I say the bars? Is that is that
You could
appropriate?
no, you can say anything you want. It's okay. You were of age. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, definitely. I mean, one of the perks that comes with being an athlete, and I don't know, I'm sure this is not unique to Fordham, but is having kind of a built-in set of friends that comes with it, and especially the track team being, both men and women, and having a lot of team members, you kind of get this like, immediate group of friends. So often there was a lot of, just hangouts at the various places that the Fordham, track and field team members live. So a lot of those houses over the years where we spent our time after
Mhm.
meets, and yeah, just having fun.
Speaking of having fun, you want to talk about the cafeteria food?
I didn't mind the cafeteria food. As somebody that grew up with three siblings and two working parents, sort of meal times were always, um, whatever was available, you ate. And so going to the cafeteria and having endless amounts of choices was very obviously enticing as an 18-year-old, especially 18-year-old athlete that's burning a lot of calories. So yeah, I definitely will say that I ate my fair share of bacon while at Fordham from the cafeteria.
Did you have any time to work any jobs while you were at Fordham?
I did. So I had I forget the name of it, but whatever the program is for student working. So it was a desk job or like a desk attendant. I don't know the official title at my dorm. I think freshman and sophomore year, and then um, also did various jobs within the athletic departments to pay for spring break travel and things like that. And then I had some internships my junior and senior year.
Let's turn to your athletic career. First event ever representing Fordham was what and where?
Oh, you're gonna make me go deep into the memory there. It was definitely a meet at the Armory, which is the one of the premier track and field venues in New York City and on the East Coast. Um, and I want to say the event was probably a 400, if I had to guess, 4 or 800.
Hmm.
But I actually have a little bit of a unique start in my story at Fordham. So I basically got to Fordham. I ran cross country that fall season. I was preparing for indoor, and I actually went to the track with some friends, not on the team, just to let out some energy. And I just had a freak accident where I dislocated my hip while I tripped over a hurdle. And it was one of those things that
Wow.
just doesn't happen. And I remember the doctor when he saw me, he's like, "This only happens to elderly patients or people in high impact situations," and I was neither. So I actually dislocated my hip in
Huh.
November of my freshman year. And fortunately, being young and just being an athlete, I was able to get back into shape pretty quickly. And so I missed, I think, like one or two meets my freshman year, but I competed every meet since then. And so I think that first meet back was in January. So I was still kind of rehabbing a little bit, but mostly kind of able to compete at that point.
And you recovered enough in your freshman year to be a member of the 4x200 relay, which set a school record at the Penn Relays. Talk about that day.
Yeah, so Penn Relays is by far just one of those meets that if you're an East Coast athlete and you're fortunate to run in, it's just inspiring on so many levels. It's one of the few instances as a track and field member where you get to run inside of an entire stadium that is packed. Typically, track and field meets are a little bit less sparse, and so, or more sparse, I should say. And so yeah, just kind of walking out in the stadium and just looking around and seeing so many spectators and just so many athletes at different levels, from high school to college to professionals. Yeah, it was just really inspiring. And being a freshman, I didn't run in that meet in my high school career, so it was the first time. And yeah, just competing
Wow.
with those on my team, it was just really a fun experience.
Sophomore year, you earned second team All Atlantic 10 honors by finishing second in the 500 meters at the 810 Indoor Championships. Tell
Yeah.
us about that day.
Yeah, that was a really fun race. I remember it was one of those photo finishes. And while of course I would have liked to have gotten first, was really happy with the outcome and my performance in the 500. It's not an event that's run often. It's indoor only, so it's not on the outdoor um, track and field circuit. And so I didn't get to run it that often. But being kind of a mid-distance runner that also dropped down to the four, it was one of my best events, because I had enough endurance after the four to finish it strong. But so yeah, it was that meet and that event are still one of my favorites.
And also that year, you broke the Fordham record in the 500 meters at the Metropolitan Championships. I would have to think, just guessing, that was the highlight of that year, that season.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that event is still my favorite. It's a very gutsy race, because again, you're running a 400, which is an all-out sprint, and then you have to have enough for that last 100 meters, and that last 100 meters can feel very long at that point. But so yeah, it's a very gutsy endurance sprint. And yeah, it definitely, like, having that a school record when I didn't even expect to be a collegiate athlete. I had sort of a slow start in high school and didn't even know if I was going to run or
Really,
compete
really,
in college.
really, really, no, really,
Yeah, yeah.
really.
I had no aspirations of running after high school. Fortunately for me, my mom was my number one supporter and agent, and kind of recruited me for Fordham. And I had, I guess, enough in high school that I got a small scholarship to compete in track. But yeah, I had no aspirations. I didn't think I had it enough in me to be able to compete at especially a D1 level. And I'm glad it all worked out. And and
Boy,
others believed in me more than I did.
for somebody to have no aspirations and wind up in the school's Hall of Fame, the old expression, "You done good."
Thank you.
2005, you won the Atlantic 10 Indoor Championship in the 500 meters. Uh, Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, having that first A10 black medal, I can't remember what it was at the time, is just, it sort of solidifies the work that you put in every week and every workout that you do, that, you're working towards not just this record for yourself, but also, the points for your team. And A10s is all about that. It's about getting points. And so, yeah, I was honored to have, have won, but then also just really proud of the team effort as well.
You were a member of the 4 by 800 relay team that won its race. We're back at the Penn Relays and
Yeah.
took second at the Atlantic 10 Championships to earn second team All A10 honors. Good for you. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think most track runners will say that the relays are the best part of running. Again, it's sort of this weird combination of individual but team aspects, and the relays are truly like a team effort. So anytime I got to run on a relay was always just like a privilege, and just really fun, because again, it's a team effort. It's usually the last event of a meet. Penn Relay is a little bit different. And so everybody's kind of tired, and it's all about, just running as hard as you can with whatever you have left, for your team to get across
Mhm.
that finish line as best as possible.